Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Continue to help the station grow. UP Nation, I think tonight is a must-win for the Minnesota Vikings. And it's weird, you know, when you're sitting at 11-2 to come out with the statement of a must-win, but it's a must-win because we got a little gift from the Buffalo Bills yesterday defeating the Detroit Lions. And I felt like yesterday the Buffalo Bills offensively did what they wanted to do against the Detroit Lions, but yet the Detroit Lions, with all of their ailments on the defensive side of the ball, all their injuries piling up, they're still a scrappy team and found a way at the end to make that thing probably closer than it should have been. Like, I thought watching the game that it had the potential to be a blowout. And of course, the Detroit Lions, one thing I have to say about them is that they have a lot of heart. They make some stupid decisions sometimes. Dan Campbell and the crew, you know, they're reading their own press clippings about being aggressive. And I'm telling you, that's going to come back to bite them at some point. Just being too aggressive. But anyway, back to our boys. The Detroit Lions lose yesterday, and now the Vikings, if they win tonight after clinching a playoff berth yesterday, they could have their destiny in their own hands in terms of getting that number one seed. So they can't stub their toe against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are reeling. The Bears are reeling. The front office is in shambles. The coaching staff is in shambles. Switching offensive coordinators, firing head coaches. Like, if you're the team that you're supposed to be with the QB in Sam Darnold, who is in the MVP conversation, there's also talk that Sam Darnold should be signed to a multi-year contract, where here it is tonight. It's set up for the Vikings to do some really, really nasty things tonight. I mean, think about it. You got the 4-9 Chicago Bears coming in. Minnesota Vikings are coming off a great win versus the Atlanta Falcons. Sam Darnold played lights out. They sent Kirk Cousins packing back home to Atlanta. Now you got a raucous crowd that's going to be at U.S. Bank tonight, scolding all night long. You've got the winter whiteout tonight. The Minnesota Vikings will be wearing their Winter Warrior uniforms. I mean, I know the Bears are going to be scrappy. I mean, those guys have a lot of pride. But it should be, according to take a term from my guy Shaq, tonight should be barbecue chicken. Tonight should be barbecue chicken for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings cannot afford to stub their toe tonight against the Chicago Bears. It can't happen. It just can't happen. It just can't happen. Not against the Chicago Bears. Not when we know what we have at stake. And this is going to be the litmus test for the Minnesota Vikings. Because in times in the past where we've had opportunity, you could go as early as last year when we had situations where if we had to win a few games, we get into the playoffs. Now we've clinched the playoffs. Now we're looking at that number one seed. We know what's at stake these last 4 games. And honestly, out of the last 4 games, this is probably the easiest. Now, I know the Seattle Seahawks didn't look very well yesterday against the Green Bay Packers, but the Green Bay Packers are coming, man. They got their eyes on a few things as well, so I wouldn't sleep on the Green Bay Packers. But the Seahawks didn't look very good. But the Bears and their organization and their team right now with Caleb Williams is in shambles. The Minnesota Vikings have to take advantage of that tonight. They got to get their running game going. Sam Darnold's got to be spreading that thing all over the field. We've got to get Justin Jefferson incorporated into the offense. I think KOC has been doing a great job of that. Jordan Addison has to be, stout like he's been the last couple of weeks. They continue on this hot track. We got to incorporate TJ Hawkinson in the offense. Defense has got to be there. And I think that if the Minnesota Vikings can jump on the Chicago Bears early enough, I think they're going to fold. I think they're going to fold. Minnesota Vikings are 4-1 since KOC has arrived in Minnesota. So he's been able to do a lot of things to the Bears that they have not been able to adjust to in terms of offensive side of the ball, B-Flow on the defensive side of the ball. KOC has had a great record against them. The Minnesota Vikings, they have to be the aggressor tonight. This can't be a situation where we play conservative. You've got the hammer. You've got to go. And so the Minnesota Vikings have to come in with that mindset. This is one of these games, I don't know whether you call it a trap game or not, but these type of games really make me nervous. And I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to play well tonight, but I have to admit, UP Nation, I'm a little bit nervous because everything is set up for the Vikings to have success tonight. It's almost like, how can they not be successful? And these are the games where sometimes you get your heart broken. We got the Lions losing yesterday. Everything is set up. And again, the feeling around town is that the Minnesota Vikings should be able to exploit the Chicago Bears in every way. B-Flow is going to have to take care of Caleb Williams. And I know that they do a really good job of scouting the Bears, and they will be able to take away their first option on offense. But the thing about Caleb Williams is that he's really good off script. So the containment in the pocket tonight is going to be huge for the Minnesota Vikings. They can't let Caleb Williams scramble out of the pocket and be able to make plays on the run and be able to make plays with his feet. They got to get to him. They've got to show him different looks. Even if they don't get sacks, they got to make Caleb Williams feel them, get some hits on him, let him know that they're there. And I think that's crucial because I think if you can touch Caleb Williams a little bit, he's not the same player during the stretch of the games. He gets a little bit skittish. He tends to make decisions a little bit quicker than he wants to make decisions. And so I think the Minnesota Vikings have to be really, really good at doing that. Here's the big thing that's huge for the Minnesota Vikings. They've got to stay clean when it comes to the turnovers tonight, especially in the red zone. When we get in that red zone, we've got to come away with points. Aaron Jones has to hold on to the ball. Sam Darnold can't revert back to his old self and start throwing picks where you have maybe that weak side safety rotating over the top. Sam's not seeing him and he throws that ball. Sam's been making really, really good decisions. Credit to Sam Darnold and KOC getting that stuff together, but that can't show up again tonight. Turnovers can change the whole complexity of the game. And so take care of the basketball, but to take care of the football is paramount. Take care of the football is paramount tonight for the Minnesota Vikings. When you have games where you have multiple turnovers, when you have the hammer playing against the underdog, turnovers will give the underdog life. And that's what the Minnesota Vikings can't do tonight, is give the Chicago Bears life. Man, sitting here clinching a playoff berth yesterday. How many would have thought? How many would have thought the Vikings with Sam Darnold at quarterback to start the year, 11-2, would be sitting here with a playoff berth clinched? Credit again to KOC and the Minnesota Vikings. It just makes this game that much more important tonight. They can't stub their toe tonight. It is a must win. This will show me a lot about Sam Darnold tonight because if he is the quarterback that the national media has been saying, and that Skull Nation has been saying, UP Nation has been saying, he can't not show up tonight. We've had these type of games before with Kirk Cousins where we blow him, he doesn't show up. This could be a difference maker tonight for Sam Darnold. This is going to be one of these games where I know that if he plays well, the Chicago Bears doesn't have a chance. If for some reason he doesn't play well, that gives the Chicago Bears an opportunity to win this game. Final score tonight for me, if I had to call it, I think it's going to be Vikings 31, the Chicago Bears 17. I think it's going to be that type of game. I think it's going to be close early, but I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to find a way to extend that lead and pull this thing out. UP Nation, what do you think the score is going to be tonight? Put it in the comments. Think the Minnesota Vikings are going to win in the blowout? Think it's going to be a close game? Put it in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button. Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. Can't wait for tonight. Purple Nation, Skull Nation, be loud tonight at US Bank Stadium. And I will see everyone when I see everyone after a Minnesota Vikings victory. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Hit that like and subscribe button. Latrey, take us home.